The morning sun streamed through the tall windows of the Mercedes dealership, casting long shadows across the polished showroom floor. Margaret Harrison adjusted her gray blazer and smiled at her colleagues, Linda and Sarah. It was going to be a good day. She could feel it. They had been working together at this dealership for nearly 15 years. They knew luxury. They knew their customers. And they certainly knew how to spot a serious buyer from someone who was just window shopping. That's when the door chimed. An older man stepped inside, and Margaret felt her smile falter just slightly. His clothes were worn, patched at the knees and elbows. His white beard was thick and untrimmed, his face weathered by years she could only guess at. He carried a canvas bag over one shoulder, the kind that looked like it had seen better days decades ago. There was dirt under his fingernails, and his boots left faint marks on their pristine floor. Linda leaned over and whispered, "Looks like someone took a wrong turn." Sarah stifled a laugh behind her hand. But Margaret had been taught better than that. Her mother had always said, "Never judge a book by its cover, dear." So she straightened her shoulders, put on her professional smile, and walked toward him. "Good morning, sir. Welcome to Mercedes of Riverside. How can I help you today?" The man looked up at her with clear blue eyes that held a gentleness she hadn't expected. He smiled, and there was something warm about it, something that reminded her of her late father. "Good morning, miss. I'm looking to buy some trucks." "Trucks?" Margaret kept her voice pleasant. "We have several models available. Were you thinking of a Sprinter van, or perhaps one of our larger commercial vehicles?" "The big ones," he said simply. "The cargo trucks. The kind that can carry a lot." Margaret nodded slowly. "Those start at about $150,000 each. Would you like to see our financing options?" The man shook his head. "No financing needed, miss. I'd like to buy 5 of them. Cash." Behind her, Margaret heard Linda's sharp intake of breath, followed by a barely concealed snicker. Sarah wasn't even trying to hide her amusement anymore. Margaret felt her cheeks flush with embarrassment, though she wasn't sure if it was for herself or for this man who clearly didn't understand what he was saying. "Sir, that would be close to $1 million. "I know," he said softly. "That's why I came here today. I've been saving for a very long time." Linda stepped forward then, her voice dripping with condescension. "Sir, perhaps you'd be more comfortable at one of the used car lots down the street. This is a luxury dealership. We cater to a certain clientele." The man's expression didn't change. He simply nodded and reached for his canvas bag. Sarah actually laughed out loud now. Is he really going to try to pay for $1 million worth of trucks with whatever's in that old bag? Margaret wanted to stop them, wanted to tell them they were being cruel, but the words caught in her throat. Because part of her, a small part she wasn't proud of, wondered the same thing. The man pulled out a worn leather wallet and extracted a business card. He handed it to Margaret. She looked down at it. Her hands began to shake. The card was simple, elegant. It read, "Robert Miller, founder and CEO, Miller Agricultural Solutions." Margaret's mouth went dry. She knew that name. Everyone in the region knew that name. Miller Agricultural Solutions was one of the largest agricultural technology companies in the country. They'd revolutionized farming equipment and sustainable agriculture practices. Robert Miller was worth hundreds of millions. And he was standing in their showroom, dressed like he'd just come from working in a field. Because, she realized with a sinking feeling, he probably had. "I apologize for my appearance," Robert said quietly, his voice still gentle despite what had just transpired. "I was out checking on one of my experimental farms this morning. We're testing new irrigation systems. I got my hands dirty, but I'd promised myself I'd come here today no matter what." Linda had gone pale. Sarah looked like she might be sick. But Robert wasn't finished. "You see, I'm starting a new initiative. I want to help small farmers in struggling communities get their products to market. These trucks will be part of a fleet that will transport goods for free for farmers who can't afford their own transportation. I've been planning this for 2 years." Margaret felt tears prick at her eyes. "Mr. Miller, we didn't." He held up a weathered hand. "You didn't know. I understand that. But you know what hurt. It wasn't that you doubted I had the money. It was that you treated me differently because of how I looked. You made assumptions about my worth as a human being based on my clothes." The showroom had gone completely silent. "My father was a farmer," Robert continued, his voice carrying the weight of memory. He worked himself to exhaustion trying to keep our farm running. He wore patched clothes because he couldn't afford new ones. He had dirt under his nails because he worked the earth with his own hands. And he was the finest man I ever knew. He looked at each of them in turn. I learned something from him. He taught me that kindness costs nothing, but its value is immeasurable. He taught me that every person deserves respect, regardless of what they're wearing or what kind of car they drive or how much money they have in the bank. Margaret felt a tear roll down her cheek. Mr. Miller, I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right. I failed a basic test of human decency today. Robert's expression softened. The question is, what will you do with this lesson? Linda stepped forward, her voice trembling. Mr. Miller, please let me help you. Let me show you our trucks. Let me try to make this right. But Robert shook his head slowly. I appreciate that, but I'll be taking my business elsewhere. Not as punishment, you understand. But because I want to work with people who already understand what I had to teach you today. There's a smaller dealership across town. The owner is a veteran who treats every person who walks through his door like they matter. That's where I'll be going. He turned to leave, then paused. But I want to thank you. You've reminded me why I'm doing this project in the first place. Because there are too many people in this world who judge others by appearances. And there are too many good people being overlooked because they don't fit someone else's idea of success. As Robert walked toward the door, Margaret found her voice. Mr. Miller, wait. He turned back. You're right about everything you said. And I want you to know that I'm going to do better. I'm going to remember this day for the rest of my life. My mother taught me never to judge a book by its cover, and I forgot that lesson today. Thank you for reminding me. Robert's stern expression melted into a gentle smile. That's all any of us can do, miss. Learn from our mistakes and do better tomorrow. Your mother sounds like a wise woman. She was, Margaret said softly. She passed away last year. She would have been disappointed in me today. But she would have been proud of you for acknowledging it, Robert replied. That takes courage. After he left, the three women stood in silence for a long moment. Finally, Sarah spoke, her voice small. I was horrible. We all were, Linda admitted. But he was right. We can learn from this. Margaret looked at her colleagues, then at the pristine showroom around them. You know what? I think it's time we changed how we do things here. Every customer who walks through that door deserves our respect and our best service, regardless of how they look. Linda nodded slowly. I'll talk to management about diversity and inclusion training. And I'll make sure we treat everyone who comes in here like they're the most important person in the world, Sarah added. Because they are. Margaret walked to the window and watched as Robert Miller climbed into an old, dusty pickup truck parked outside. As he drove away, she made herself a promise. She would never forget the ragged man who taught her the most valuable lesson she'd learned in 15 years of selling luxury cars. Kindness isn't about how much money someone has or what kind of clothes they wear. It's about seeing the humanity in every person and treating them with the dignity they deserve. And it was a lesson that was worth far more than any commission she might have earned that day. That evening, Margaret went home and pulled out an old photo of her mother. She looked at that familiar, loving face and whispered, I remembered today, Mom. I finally remembered what you tried to teach me. And for the first time in a long time, she felt truly at peace with herself. Because she understood now that the biggest mistake wasn't losing the sale. It was forgetting that every person has a story, a history, a heart that beats with the same hopes and dreams as her own. And she would never forget that lesson again. 3 months had passed since Robert Miller walked out of Mercedes of Riverside, and Margaret Harrison still thought about him every single day. She had kept his business card in her wallet, a constant reminder of the lesson she'd learned. Every morning when she arrived at work, she looked at it before stepping onto the showroom floor. It had become her ritual, her way of remembering what truly mattered. The dealership had changed too. After several long conversations with management, they'd implemented new training programs focused on treating every customer with equal respect and dignity. The staff met weekly to discuss their interactions and hold themselves accountable. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Linda had become one of the strongest advocates for change. She'd shared her own story during one of their meetings, about growing up poor and remembering how people had treated her mother when she couldn't afford nice things. Sarah had cried and apologized again, and they'd all grown closer through their shared commitment to doing better. But Margaret still carried a weight in her heart. She'd written Robert Miller several letters, trying to express her gratitude and apologize more fully. She'd never sent them. They sat in her desk drawer, words on paper that never felt quite adequate. On a crisp autumn Tuesday, Margaret was helping a young couple look at sedans when the door chimed. She glanced up out of habit and felt her heart stop. Robert Miller stood in the doorway. This time, he wore a clean button-down shirt and pressed slacks. His beard was neatly trimmed, and he carried a leather briefcase instead of the canvas bag. But his eyes held that same gentle warmth she remembered. Margaret excused herself from the young couple and walked toward him, her pulse racing. "Mr. Miller, I never expected to see you again." He smiled softly. "Hello, Margaret. I hope I'm not intruding. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by." "You remembered my name," she said, surprised. "Of course I did. You were the only one who showed me any kindness that day. And you were the only one who truly seemed to understand what I was trying to teach." Linda and Sarah had noticed him now. They approached slowly, uncertainty written across their faces. "Mr. Miller," Linda said quietly. "It's good to see you again." He nodded to them both. "Ladies, you're all looking well." There was an awkward pause, and then Sarah blurted out, "We're so sorry. We've talked about that day constantly. We've changed things here. We're trying to do better." Robert's expression softened. "I know you are. I've heard good things, actually. Word travels in business circles. People have noticed a difference here." Margaret felt a flutter of hope. "You've been keeping track of us." "In a way," Robert admitted. "I believe in second chances, Margaret. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do afterward. And from what I've heard, you've all done something meaningful with the lesson you learned." He set his briefcase down and looked around the showroom. "The truth is, I need to expand my fleet. The program I told you about has been even more successful than I imagined. We've helped over 200 farmers get their products to market in the past 3 months. But we need more trucks." Margaret felt tears spring to her eyes. "You're giving us another chance." "I'm giving you the opportunity you would have had if I'd walked in here looking the way I do today," Robert corrected gently. "Which is exactly how it should be. But more than that, I want to support a business that's committed to growth and change. That takes courage, and I respect it." Linda stepped forward, her voice steady despite the emotion Margaret could see in her eyes. "Mr. Miller, I promise you we'll provide the best service you've ever received. Not because of who you are or how much you're spending, but because that's how we treat everyone now." "That's exactly what I was hoping to hear," Robert said. Over the next 2 hours, they worked together to select 8 additional trucks for Robert's fleet. Margaret handled the paperwork while Linda explained the features and Sarah coordinated the delivery logistics. They were professional, thorough, and treated Robert with the same courtesy they'd been showing to every customer who walked through their doors. As they finalized the details, Robert leaned back in his chair in the office and studied Margaret. "You wanted to ask me something. I can see it in your eyes." Margaret hesitated, then decided honesty was always the best path. "That day you came in, you could have told us immediately who you were. You could have shown us identification or mentioned your company. Why didn't you?" Robert was quiet for a long moment, his gaze distant. "When my father died, I inherited his old farm. It wasn't worth much, but it was all he had to leave me. I was already successful by then, running my company. But I went back to that farm, and I walked through the old house where I grew up." He paused, collecting his thoughts. "I found his work clothes hanging in the closet. Patched and worn, just like the ones I was wearing that day. And I remembered how people used to treat him when we'd go into town. The way shop owners would watch him carefully, like they thought he might steal something. The way other kids' parents would pull them away when they saw him coming." Margaret felt her throat tighten. "He never complained," Robert continued. "He just lived his life with dignity and kindness, treating everyone well regardless of how they treated him. But I saw the hurt in his eyes. And I promised myself that when I had money and success, I would use it to help people like him. People who work hard and deserve respect but don't always get it." He looked directly at Margaret. So when I go out to check on my farms, I wear clothes like my father wore. I get my hands dirty like he did. And sometimes, I go places where people don't know who I am, just to see how they treat the version of me that looks like him. It reminds me why I do this work. It reminds me who I'm doing it for. Sarah wiped at her eyes. Your father would be proud of you, Mr. Miller. I hope so, Robert said simply. But more than that, I hope he'd be proud that his life and his example are still making a difference. Every farmer we help, every person who gets treated with respect regardless of their appearance, that's his legacy continuing. Linda cleared her throat. Mr. Miller, would you tell us more about your program? We'd like to understand what we're supporting. Robert's face lit up, and for the next hour, he shared stories about the farmers his trucks were helping. There was Maria, a single mother growing organic vegetables who could now get her produce to farmers' markets 3 towns away. There was James, an elderly man whose small dairy farm had been struggling until he could reliably transport his cheese to specialty shops in the city. These are good people who work hard, Robert explained. They're not asking for handouts. They just need a fair chance to succeed. Transportation costs were killing them. Now, we handle that for free until they're established enough to afford their own vehicles. Then they pay it forward by mentoring other farmers starting out. Margaret listened, absorbing every word. It's not just charity. It's building a community.